With the arid climate of New Mexico, an indigenous people of the area developed a board game that can be seen as being played upon a serpent's back due to the diamond pattern found upon the board. And who knows, maybe someone was sacrificed when the game came to an end as a means of satisfying the serpent in question. Greetings and welcome back to Checkpoint Gaming, Checkers. With this episode, we will be going over Kolowis Awithlaknannai. With Kolowis Awithlaknannai, it is a two-player strategy board game that can be seen as being related to that of checkers and Alquerque, and it is played by and accredited to the Zuni people of New Mexico, with a possible connection to that of the Spanish conquistadors. With the Spaniards, it is possible that they introduced Alquerque to the peoples of what is now Mexico, along with the surrounding regions where the locals adapted it to their own specifications. But at the moment, from what we can tell, it seems like further research needs to be done regarding this matter, because there isn't enough evidence for there to be a definite conclusion. So with that said, we would like to know more about this, especially from anthropologists and historians who are or have studied the game itself and or the Zuni people, since we at Checkpoint Gaming give those specializing in a given field greater importance than those who haven't directly studied a given matter. We would also like to hear from the Zuni peoples themselves who are active players of the game to help educate us on this given matter. And in the Zuni language, Kolowisi is in reference to that of a water serpent found in their mythology that is in possession of feathers or horns. Besides Kolowis Awithlaknannai, the game is also known as Fighting Serpents, Serpent Fight, Stones Kill Serpents, and Awithlaknannai Mosona. In addition to this, although the full name of the game is that of Kolowis Awithlaknannai, it can be known by the slightly shorter name of Awithlaknannai. From our research, Kolowis Awithlaknannai was described in Stuart Coulin's book Games of the North American Indians, which was published in 1907, along with it being published in R.C. Bell's book Board and Table Games from Many Civilizations in 1969, with Bell listing the game as Battle of Snakes. The game also comes with a number of different sized boards that can have a variety of different points printed upon them. With the objective of the game, it is to capture all of the opponent's pieces, or to prevent the opposing player from being able to perform a move with the first player to do so, winning the game. But if neither of these are possible, then the player possessing the most number of pieces upon the board is declared the winner. In addition to this, neither player is able to pass on their turn. When it comes to that of a draw, it occurs by agreement between the players at any point during play. If it becomes apparent that no more pieces are able to be captured, and both players are in possession of the same number of pieces upon the board, then a draw is to occur. When it comes to the equipment, it consists of a board that is longer than it is wide, with a total of 24 counters being equally divided into two different colors. With the board itself, it possesses 3 horizontal lines that run parallel to each other and are intersected by a number of diagonal lines along the width of the board, thus causing the board to be made up of linear patterns instead of squares. And found at the end of the 2 outer horizontal lines are curved lines that connect each corner point to that of the middle line, thus creating an additional intersection at the middle line when compared to that of the outer 2 lines. Each of these intersections are known as points. With the base design of the board that we'll be using for this episode, it is that of the Mosona Awithlaknannai version, where the 2 outer lines possess 8 points and the middle line possesses 9 points. There is also a Kolowis Awithlaknannai board, where the outer 2 lines possess 16 points and the middle line possesses 17 points, with the 46 total pieces being equally divided amongst the players. But the board is able to be any size, as long as the 2 outer lines are of equal length. The center line possesses 1 more point when compared to that of the outer lines, and each player has enough pieces to properly play the game. On top of this, the number of diagonals, and thus corresponding intersecting points, will vary depending upon the location upon the board. Along the middle line, it's about 17 intersecting points and about 16 intersecting points along the 2 outer lines, which is typical. When determining who is going to go first, we'll leave it up to the players on how they would like to go about doing this. But with that said, it should be done at random. Regarding piece placement, each player is to place one of their pieces onto each of the points found upon the line found closest to them. From there, each player is to place one of their pieces onto the points found on the right-hand side of the middle row from their given orientation. When it comes to that of the middle point, it is to remain empty at the beginning of the game, with said point being the only empty point. So piece placement is set up in a symmetrical pattern. In our research, a variant to this is that with the middle row, it has the middle point along with each end point being empty. but for this episode, we'll be going with the center point being the only empty point. With the moving of a piece, it follows the pattern found upon the board, with said movement being able to be done in any direction. With the moving of pieces, like that of checkers, they come in two types, an ordinary, non-capturing move and a capturing move. When it comes to that of an ordinary move, it sees the piece only move a single point, which is done by moving said piece a single step from its original point to an adjacent empty point found along one of the marked lines upon the board, which can be done linearly or diagonally. When it comes to that of a capturing move, it sees a player's piece jumping over an opponent's piece. With the performing a jump, the player's piece will have to be adjacent to an opponent's piece, along with a vacant point found upon the opposite side of the opponent's piece, with the jump itself being done along a straight line into said vacant point. Once captured, the opposing piece is removed from the board. With the nature of setup, the first player will have to move one and only one of their pieces into the middle point, with player turns alternating between them from now on. Each turn will also only see a single piece be moved per turn. Given the fact that capturing is mandatory, the players will have to perform it if a capture presents itself. And if multiple jumps present themselves, only a single piece is able to be captured for any given jump. If more than one piece that is able to perform a capture, or there are two or more opponent pieces available to a given player piece, then the player is able to choose which piece is to perform a capturing move or which opponent piece is to be captured. And when a jump is performed over just a single piece, then it is known as a short jump. When it comes to that of multiple jumps, they're allowed to be done in a single turn, with each jump having the option to change directions, if possible, an action that the player can do right away. So if a new jump position presents itself, it allows for the active player to continue capturing pieces. Capturing ends when there are no more pieces to capture, or if the player decides to no longer engage in capturing. The player has that option. In our research, an alternate rule sees that when multiple jumps are available to a player, said player will have to perform them. But if a player fails to perform a capture when one has been presented to them, and they perform a non-capturing move, then the opponent will be able to perform a huff by removing the offending counter as a bonus move before they perform their own move. With that said, if a situation arises where an opponent was presented with multiple possible captures and said player chose the path that is most advantageous for them, then this huff rule is to be ignored, since the capturing player didn't forget or otherwise overlook capturing. They just chose one possible path for the capturing of pieces. So, basically speaking, a player isn't to be punished for making a decision, especially if it's a decision that the opposing player disagrees with. In addition to what we have already addressed, there are some variants available to the game. Besides different board sizes and the initial number of open spaces at the start of the game, which were already addressed, the different variants will be addressed here. First, if the player has the opportunity to capture one or more of the opponent's pieces, then said player is required to do so. And if after taking one of the opponent's pieces, another capture opportunity presents itself, then the player will have to take it immediately. This is to continue until all of the capturing possibilities have been exhausted. Second, a player's piece is unable to move backwards. It can only move sideways, forward, or diagonally forward. And if a piece reaches the final row, it is only allowed to move sideways. A variant to this, so a variant to a variant, and can be seen as variant 2.5, is when a piece reaches the end of a row, it is to be moved to the middle or opposite row, where it can start moving normally once again. And with that said, this will bookend the main series pertaining to how to go about playing the game, checkers. We hope that you found this to be helpful and allowed you to better understand how to go about playing the game. As time progresses and any updates get put out for the community, we will return to these episodes and update them accordingly to better reflect the changes that have been made to the game. With the nature of Checkpoint Gaming, we want to present the most up-to-date version of the game as possible to those who wish to play. So with that said, we hope you enjoyed our series pertaining to how to go about playing checkers.